So basically, smiling has been found to be unattractive by women. A recent study has found. So in British Columbia, University of British Columbia did this study with over 1,000 participants, 500 men, 500 women. And they showed them these pictures that depicted emotions. Here's a sample. They had 400 variations. Each model would show 4 different emotions: happiness, pride, shame, and neutral. They should have added anger to it. But anyway, the pride is strange, I guess. But the other ones are pretty self-explanatory. So they showed these images to each candidate, and they were supposed to rate them from most attractive to least attractive. Now, 1,000 people rate these, right? So it's a pretty decent sample size. Well, what did they find? Well, they found that the male group consistently found happiness, in other words, pretty much smiling women, to be the most attractive out of the 4 categories by a long shot, right? And instead, in the female group, they found happiness to be the least attractive category, with pride being number 1 and shame being number 2. This was a huge, I don't know if I can find a graph that shows the actual number, but it's a huge variance pushing, an overwhelming majority find the smiling man unattractive. Now, I was thinking about this, I was racking my brains, because this kind of follows up with a lot of different statistics, like the OkCupid statistic and other online dating stuff that they pull. This shows these, very radical differences between men and women, right? And I don't know, I think one of the reasons it's kind of difficult for us as men to understand, why that there's that difference, right, is because we find smiles attractive. As a guy, a smile's the best. You see a smiling girl, it's inviting, right? It's a sign of that whatever you're doing, you're getting a positive feedback out of the smile. So it's an inviting thing. Nobody wants an angry partner, you would think, but for women, it's just not something that connects. Now, you got to take in mind that this was sexual attraction, attractiveness, not as, hey, this is a person I want to have a coffee with, or we'll go on a walk, or, talk. This was which of these pictures do you find most attractive, sexually attractive? Are you most attracted to? And the non-smiling one was the last one. And that's what's funny. I thought maybe the smile wouldn't be the number 1, but to be the absolute repellent is, I think, statistically significant enough to take into consideration. Maybe you're oh, there's all these other factors that weren't taken into account. Yeah, but the smiling was the least attractive. Least. So I was, reading all this stuff and people's opinions. I mean, one of the things that people talked about was, if you thought you would attract somebody with a smiling, happy picture on your online dating profile or whatever, you might want to rethink that and try some sort of different strategy. Basically, the reason it's smiling maybe is, I thought, and my perception was, I think of customer service. I think of someone wanting to please, right? Maybe if you're in a position of power or more dominance, you're less likely to have to show smiling emotions, because you don't really have to try to please people. That could be seen as something more dominant. I don't know. That's what I theorize. It's a very difficult kind of thing to unpack, especially coming from, like I said, a perspective where I think smiling is attractive. That's what I look for. So it's hard for me to imagine someone who actually finds that repulsive. And if you ask women, obviously they're going to say the opposite. I asked my wife, obviously she says, no, I like smile. I like your smile. I don't think that way. But it's yeah, but this is stuff that's not, it's not something that you're aware of per se, right? So if you're not going to ask, it's like asking advice, hey, what's the best way to get a girlfriend? And you ask a girl, they're not gonna know. It's like asking a fish the best way to fish. They I don't know if that's a good analogy, but it is a very I don't know, it's just very strange indeed. The research, part of the research said, again, not smiling can be an indicator of certain character traits. And it's just yeah, but what's being psychotic? It brings me back into the Bad Boy, right? What's that? The Twilight series, What is it? Edward the Vampire. He's always brooding, always in a bad mood. Also made me think of who's that guy, that dated the Kardashian, Ariana Grande. He's actually a comedian, but he's kind of a brooding, depressive, kind of troubled soul, right? I forget what his name is, does the SNL stuff. Like maybe that's, some sort of character people like, they're like the bad boy. Bad boys aren't happy, smiling. I don't know. There's a fine line, right, between not smiling and being depressed, because I don't think, being depressed, being sad would be attractive to women. But again, and at this point, seeing these results, I'm just speculating here, but if they put depressed and sad in those emotions and then happy, I bet you still happy would have been the least attractive. So if you got to pick between smiling and being, sad, you're better off being sad. But I bet you if you put crying, that would have got the least of the least. That's another thing. The showing emotion as far as crying is just a no-go. But let's unpack the pride part of it. The pride. The picture of pride is just, it's kind of ridiculous. But that's what, was the number one pick. That goes to show you, if you're going to put a picture on your profile, your dating profile, put something where you're like, you won something. Maybe you won a race. You won even a chess tournament. I don't know, something. And so you're proud. Also, I think maybe pictures that don't look like they're staged, right? Like photo shoots. Something like a picture that was taken while you're doing something or celebrating that was like unbeknownst to you. Maybe that is something that should be taken. I'm sure there's a whole science to that. I'm married. But back in the day, I used to do a lot of online dating. And I would have loved to know this stuff and play with different photos and try to kind of figure out how to get a higher, CTR, click to rate, a higher ROAS. But I don't know. This is, it kind of ties into the whole OkCupid thing and all the research that was found. And I think it's very conflicting. It's very conflicting because, society, women, everybody tells you one thing, and then data suggests another. And still, I think that, a lot of women that see the study or see the video, they're going to say, oh, I love smiling and I love this and that. And I think that once you get to know that person, that changes the perception. I mean, the data on 1,000 people, there's something to it. You can't completely discredit this. And this matches up, like I said, with all the other data from dating sites and different stuff. So, it's crazy because I do smile a lot used in pictures, It's just something I always perceived it as like a good thing. You got a good smile, put it out there. But now it's like, I see that maybe that's not the case. Anyway, what do you guys think of this? What do you think this says about our culture today? And then, again, men are very depressed and we have a lot of issues. And it's like society and this kind of, the people that we try to please the most are women, I think, no matter where you are. I mean, if you're young, middle-aged, single, in a relationship, married, a woman is the person you're really trying to please most, keep happy. And there's all these mixed signals, I think, with how to do that. And that's what's frustrating about it, I guess. But I don't know. What do you guys think? What's your take on this stuff? Is it just baloney? Is it just, happenstance? I don't think so. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. As always, bye, Red, and sell green.